Can you smell what the Joes are cooking? What's going on, Dave?
Hey man, how you doing?
Man, I'm getting along, brother. We got football tonight, so that's always a good day, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Anytime football's on TV, it just makes my day that much better.
Hey, it really does. Tuesday and Wednesdays can suck it, but once Thursday
Yeah.
pops around, my wife is like, "Is football on every night?" I'm like, "Basically."
I wish.
You got Thursday night, you got college on Friday, you got your college team on Saturday afternoon, you got a Saturday night game for college, and you got Sunday night, you got Monday. It's right. Look, I seen a meme on online. There's a man talking to his wife. He said, "Listen, do you have anything else to say before football season starts? Because during the season, just stop talking. There ain't nothing. You ain't gonna hear me or see me besides." No, man,
Get it
good
all
stuff.
out now while I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, get it all out right now. Anyhow, listen, everybody, I want to thank you guys for coming back once again and sticking with us here this evening. I want to say we do appreciate it to all the listeners and everybody who's subscribed recently. And again, want to thank the people behind the scenes getting the word out on the show. We're here to stay. Looks like we've hit our seventh or eighth episode, and they say after you do something seven times, that it's a habit. So we really appreciate you guys, and we're just going to keep on bringing content, and again, try to bring a little different spin than some of the other shows out there. You know, it's fantasy. I mean, you're going to still get some of the same stuff, but hopefully you guys enjoy what you hear, and we enjoy bringing it. So, again, just want to thank everyone, all the listeners out there. And, again, please take 2 seconds. It means the absolute world to us. Like the video, please. Hit the subscribe button and leave comments. Really want to be interactive with you guys. We can answer any questions you have, start sits, whatever you want. We'll certainly be here on YouTube to do that. And you can visit us online, Facebook, The Average Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast on Facebook, Instagram. You can find us at Average Joe's Fantasy Football _ between each one of the words. And I also believe that's the same thing for our Twitter, Average Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast. So please look us up online. We are here for your interaction. Now, this is a big show. This is our very first giveaway. Once again, it's not a sponsor or anything, but I just love these chips so much that I want to get the word out to America that these Hers Creamy Ranch Habanero chips are just to die for. So with the question of the week this week, whoever answers it correctly first, we will ship you out a bag of these chips. And trust me, as long as you like it a little bit spicy, you can handle it. You will love these chips. Trust me. I mean, I think they're a notch above Doritos, man.
Oh my goodness. Well, can I answer the question then? Can I get in on this and get these chips?
Man, you're just gonna have to wait till they become a sponsor and send us out some bags, man. But trust me, they're delicious. And a friend of mine that was sitting next to me at work today, he also eats them. He had just happened to randomly mention them, and I was like, yeah, man, I love those chips. He's like, you gotta try dipping them like with some ranch dip or something. Amazing, amazing. Neither here nor there. Our very first giveaway. Be the first to answer the question correctly, and we're going to send you out a bag of these chips. And we're going to go ahead and let Dave take it away with the question of the week. Go ahead and give us a good one, Dave.
Yeah, so the question of the week this week is, which quarterbacks finished last season in top 5 in quarterback fantasy points and are now ranked outside of the top 10 in quarterback fantasy points this year? So again, which quarterbacks finished last season top 5 in quarterback fantasy points and are now ranked outside of the top 10 in quarterback fantasy points for this year?
All right, so the quarterback last year, top 5, finished the season top 5, but now ranked outside of the top 10. And it looks like there may be multiple. So definitely check that out. Leave your answer here on the YouTube channel, and we will again be responding there and letting you know anyone who was the winner of the contest. Once again, I want to thank you guys. So let's go jump into the show as usual, jam-packed. We're going to do a quick Week 5 review. We're not going to hit every game, but just some of the games we think were significant. We're going to do the blame game. Again, that is basically who's been underperforming to this point in the season and what and who is to blame for this underperformance. And then we're going to do a quick waiver wire run through, try to get you guys to the game tonight. Oh, also going to do a Thursday night preview, definitely.
Yeah. Real quick, just to clear, I don't want to make sure I was clear on the question. We are looking for all five. We're looking for 5 quarterbacks, so not 1 or 2. I don't want people to put, well, this guy, he was top 5 and he's out. We're looking for 5 quarterbacks.
Right. There's multiple quarterbacks that finished top 5 last year that are now outside the top 10. So yeah, check them out. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the game real quickly here. A few games. Let's start with the Steelers and Atlanta. Now, we knew this was going to be a high-powered, high-scoring game. It's just that one team did all the scoring, basically.
Yeah, man. That Steelers defense came to play. They were getting back there to Matt Ryan, and Joe Hayden was shadowing Julio all day and kind of kept him under wraps. And Calvin came back to earth a little bit. But yeah, the points on the other side, you know, AB's looking back to form, trying to prove me wrong with my curse.
You look now. Well, are you still some Tonio, or are you completely back to no Tonio?
Right now, I'm still some Tonio, but I wanted to keep him for this week, especially playing the Falcons. But for you guys out there, I'm definitely trying to sell him. I know you can't believe it, but I am.
He's trying to go back. Right, after this game, he's trying to go back to no Listen, man, the man is a stud every single year. He does it every year. That's why he's one of the wide receivers that you can draft in the top 10 year in and year out because you know what you're going to get. Are you still? Is this curse still affecting you, even though he's having a great year?
This curse it's still on me.
It's still there.
I don't know what it's gonna. Other than I won't be able to get off of this until the end of the year when he proves me wrong, and it'll be too late by then.
Yeah. Okay. He's sticking with it, folks. He only has Antonio because he was forced. Well, yeah, man. Yeah, the game was a good game for the Steelers. Absolutely, defense looked a little bit better, but Connor had a great game, 2 touchdowns, nearly 200 yards from scrimmage. He's really shined when he had the opportunity to do so. What do you think this looks like if and when Le'Veon Bell comes back? I still have my doubts. Even though there's reports out there he's going to be back week 8 or whatever. I just don't understand his psyche, his reasoning behind it. But let's say the reports are correct and accurate. He comes back week 7, week 8. What do you think about Connor? Do you think this is a split backfield? Do you think they just welcome Le'Veon back with open arms? Here's 30 carries a game. What's going to happen here?
Well, what I'm hearing or what I'm reading is that it's looking like it might be a committee approach when Le'Veon gets back. Now, as far as the splits, I don't know if that's going to be 50-50, 60-40, you know what I'm saying? But I do think I could see the Steelers, if they do this so-called committee approach, having James Conner on a short leash just because it's Le'Veon. And at first sign of James Conner fumbling or messing up just in the slightest, Le'Veon will begin to take over that backfield, kind of like we saw with Fitzpatrick and Jameis. When Jameis came back his first game. So, but yeah, from what I'm seeing so far, it's looking like it's going to be a committee backfield, which I kind of hate for James Conner because he looks good, even though I didn't want to take too much from this game because of how bad the Falcons' defense is. But James Conner has continued to show that if he gets the touches, he can produce.
Right.
So, I mean, all you got to do is get him the ball. So
yeah, if I were the Steelers with how James Conner plays when we give him the ball, I would be really. I mean, it may be nearly impossible because of the situation, but I would be really looking to get away from Le'Veon. I mean, if I can get a first round pick right now, I do the trade if I'm the Steelers. Because James Conner, he's not Le'Veon Bell. Let's not make any, misconceptions about that. Le'Veon is a superior talent, certainly, but James Conner does what they need him to do in that offense. But another something to think about here and keep in mind that if Le'Veon does come back into his full workload, are you downgrading Juju or AB? Well, no, AB's always done it. So are you downgrading Juju Smith-Schuster? Because Le'Veon commands a lot of touches out of the backfield and a lot of passes out of the backfield as well.
Yeah. No. The only person, and I don't think many people were high on him other than me, so the only person I would downgrade for myself would be James Washington, who hasn't really done much this year anyway. Okay. But Juju was able to do it last year with Le'Veon and AB there, so I think Juju is the real deal, and I think he'll still do the most with his touches. The 14, 15, 16 targets may not be there anymore with Le'Veon there, but I think, if he's catching 5, 6, 7 balls a game, he's still going to give you good wide receiver 2 numbers.
Of course, yeah. Well, we seen last night, I think he only had 4 receptions on yesterday. So I'm thinking it kind of goes back to the way it was last year where he has to be hyper efficient with his touches, 4 to 5 touches a game, possibly he catches a game. He may not get the targets. I don't know. It's going to be really strange to see how they integrate Le'Veon back into the offense now that Big Ben has surprised the heck out of me. He was one of the people that I typically would avoid. Like, hey, he's there in the 10th, 11th round. Do you want him? No. I'm doing something different, and he's showing he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year. I don't think he looked overly efficient in the game, but at the end of the day, it's fantasy, and the numbers stacked up for him. So, they should continue to roll, man. And I like the offense. I'm not sure what Le'Veon's going to do to it, but again, that's something to keep your eye on. Just kind of know those touches have to come from somebody somewhere. On the other side of the ball, Atlanta, Matt Ryan went back to looking like 2016 Matt Ryan. Not a good game for him here,
Yeah, he like I said, he was getting a lot of pressure. He was getting hit a lot. He even had to come out of the game for a while. So I don't know how much. I didn't get to see too much of this game as I was traveling. I was a little bit on the road, but I don't know how much to attribute that to Matt himself. But he was sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
So the D-line was obviously bringing pressure. I think Pittsburgh had some blitzes dialed up. Like I said, Joe Hayden was following Julio. So we talked about Calvin coming down, and Mohamed Sanu was able to step up a little bit with his 4 receptions. So, I mean, Atlanta's got their weapons, and the defense being depleted. I think maybe it just finally caught up to them. Being coming out game after game, the offense having to do so much, and also with trying to incorporate Devontae Freeman his first game back. I don't know if that had anything to do with Matt Ryan messing up like he did, but it wasn't completely terrible.
No, it wasn't a horrible game, but it wasn't what we've been used to for the last few weeks. And kind of think, he's taking that step again, the second year in Sarkisian's offense. And, of course, Sanu looks good. As a matter of fact, seeing his stat line, which wasn't overly amazing, but he had, I think, 19 fantasy points. The first two weeks of this year, he had under 10 fantasy points. I mean, well under 10 fantasy points. And I benched him. So, of course, now that I have him firmly on my bench, he's going to start going off. So I'm thinking of a new segment for possibly next week called I Benched Him, So You Start Him. Because it seems to happen. As soon as you're done with the guy, and I'm going to talk about a couple more guys before we finish here, the same thing has happened. As soon as you're done with the guy, all of a sudden everything changes around. Man, Julio, he may very, very soon be one of the underwhelming players of the year. He's still racking up a decent amount of yards, but he has to get into the end zone. You cannot go through the year, and he's game 5. So through the regular season, you're 0.25% done, and you have 0 touchdowns. This cannot continue to happen. So I know Julio owners, and I actually have him in one league, have to be disappointed with the lack of production here.
Absolutely, and the worst part about it is it's not even him. Like it's not that he's not good or you know what I'm saying? Like he's catching the balls. He's like you said, he's still putting up the yards and stuff. It's just when they get down there for whatever reason, the targets don't go his way, and you just hate to see that out of a guy you drafted first, second round. And it's not that it's a bad offense either. It's a high-powered offense,
right?
And he's just not. You know, they're not looking for him down there.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it continues to progress here. Excellent. Let's go ahead into the next game. We got Cincy. And we got the Dolphins. Cincy's looking great on offense, man. They got to be one of the top teams now on your radar every week. It wasn't the greatest game for Dalton by any stretch, but when he came down to earth, Joe Mixon took off. And he's making me regret not drafting him and drafting Alex Collins, even though, he missed a couple of weeks, man. He came back and literally hit the ground running.
Yeah, no, that was, to be honest, that was a complete surprise to me. Even though Gio didn't play, I was very surprised to see Joe Mixon get 22 rushes in the game. I thought Mark Walton was going to get some of that, but obviously 100%. Not. Yeah, they love Joe, and I guess they felt if he's good enough to play, he's good enough to take on this workload, and we're gonna give him all the carries. And AJ Green looks great.
Yeah, he's still showing that he's the lead. I mean, but I definitely thought that Walton, he was going into the week in my mind possibly an under the radar DFS play or maybe a sleeper for the week. I didn't think he would take off, but I thought they would split just to make sure that knee was right for Mixon. And no. Mixon got the whole. I don't think he got a carry. He got maybe one carry.
None.
None for Walton.
He got zero.
Yep. Yeah.
Just he got 2 catches, but that's it.
Wow. Yeah, but AJ has shown that he's elite. Tyler Boyd came down to earth a little bit, but I think he's still a great flex play going forward. I would still give him a couple more weeks before you put him back on your bench. Again, he came out of nowhere. If you heard an earlier episode, you got our take on that, but we got to keep riding Boyd. He's okay for a clunker here and there, but I still think he's going to give you some solid weeks. On the other side of the ball,
from that game.
Oh, go ahead.
A quick surprise with Cincinnati, or a surprise to me, is the usage of Uzomah over Tyler Kroft. Tyler Kroft didn't have a catch at all the entire game, and Uzomah had 2 catches for 43 yards.
Yeah, I've seen that come. I always thought Uzomah was a little bit more talented. As a matter of fact, I picked Uzomah up in 2 of my leagues, just as extra bench player or even one where I had Trey Burton on bye. I picked Uzomah up. Now I didn't cash in because Uzomah didn't do a whole lot, but neither did anyone else besides Mixon and AJ Green. So no, I think he's the more talented of the 2. You may still have a little bit of a committee there, but if you're going to take a shot on one, then I would go Uzomah. And the reason you want to take a shot regardless is because before Tyler Eifert went out, he was looking good. He was looking like he was going to be a top 10, maybe sneak into the top 5 by the end of the year, because as the games progressed and they kind of figured out, he's maybe back, they gave him more targets.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I agree. I like it. I like Uzomah. I like you said at the beginning, I like that offense. I think that could be a sneaky play if you, especially with the tight ends now, they're all kind of up in the air. So other than your top elite ones.
Absolutely. And on the other side of the ball, looks like Gase actually listens to our show, because he finally figured out, if I give Drake the ball more than 2 or 3 times a game, the dude can produce. He gave us 24 fantasy points last week, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's trying to make a statement, because, he listened, he gave Kenyon Drake the ball, but it was as a receiver.
Right.
He was out-touched. Frank Gore had 6 more carries than Kenyon did.
Correct.
But then you have Kenyon as 11 targets, the leading receiver on the team. So
it's hard to call.
I don't know if you can expect that out of Drake each week, but definitely if Drake gets the ball, the Dolphins do better. And that's just what I mean, that's just what it is. The best threat on offense is Drake, and I don't see what the disconnect is between him and Gase or whomever in the Dolphins organization.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there either. I mean, by far, Drake is not only your best back, but possibly the best player you have on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know what's going on with Gase. Maybe he's just a bad coach. Maybe there's something behind the scenes we don't know between he and Drake. But in most offenses, you try to give your best player the ball as much as you possibly can, and it seems to be opposite. So when they finally gave this guy the ball, and I'm fine with that. You know, if he's decided that, listen, we're going to let old man Gore, drudge up and down the field. We're going to give him the double-digit carries. We're going to give Drake 5 carries a game, 6 carries a game. We're going to make sure he gets 7, 8, 9 targets a game. He's going to be that kind of Kamara-ish kind of a. Maybe he's looking at New Orleans and saying that's what he wants Kenyon Drake to be, and Kenyon Drake can fill that role, and he'll be valuable going forward. Here's my question for you.
Absolutely.
Is Drake now, with this one game, are you ready to trust him again, or is he on your bench again?
That's right now, after this one game, that's going to be a matchup thing for me with Drake. And going against the Bears next week, I would need another week. He would have to sit on my bench one more week. If I had enough pieces to sit him this week, and none of those pieces are on bye next week, then I'm sitting him again.
Wow.
Just to see, I gotta see. Like I said, especially going against the Bears, if he does it again against the Bears, then I'm all in for it. I just need to make sure this wasn't like an anomaly or something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, though, man. A lot of people drafted this guy,
third,
fourth round, so it's going to be hard for a lot of people to sit him for 3 or 4. You were getting ready to drop him, so you probably have a different plan. But if he has this kind of production, certainly he was better than Aaron Jones, who I put in his place for 7 points last week, who's another player that's being drastically underused. But neither here nor there. Drake is another reason that we're probably going to have to put that segment in place. I benched him, so you start him. I'm serious. It just seems to be that way, right?
It's looking like it. Another guy we could talk about, just real quick, I'll just mention him. I benched LaShawn McCoy this week. And
he finally gave you one game.
Yeah, he decided to show up. So, this segment might end up being that segment might actually end up being more informational than anything we talk about the whole podcast.
No, instead of doing starts and sits for the week, I'm benching him, so you should probably start him might be what we need to replace that with. Because, man, it just seems like every time you're done with a player, they seem to go ahead and go off. But neither here nor there. Yeah, I probably am going to go ahead and err on the side of caution with Drake myself. What I mean by err on the side of caution is like to be cautiously optimistic. I'm going to put him back in my lineup thinking that maybe Gase figures he wants to win a game or two this year and is going to give his best player the ball. So I'm going to put him in my flex. I'm going to flex him this week. And hopefully he has another good week, and I can put him back in my RB2 spot. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna also give Jones another shot, but that's another conversation for another day. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jags. The Chiefs don't need Mahomes to be awesome. Mahomes, the offense they have going there just looks amazing regardless whether he throws 6 touchdowns or one. And I do understand his name is Mahomes. I just call him Mahomes.
Yeah, man, that Chiefs offense is nothing to play with. He threw no touchdowns and they still scored 30 points.
How does this happen in life?
On Jacksonville.
None of it.
And the offense just looks tremendous. He did finally get those picks, but I mean, it's against Jacksonville. You
got to expect something to happen, right?
Right, yeah. So he came down a little bit, but he still went out there. He balled. He stood in the pocket. He ran around. He did tactic things. He did tactic things. He ran in for a touchdown. Still had over 300 yards. Kareem Hunt looked great.
Yeah, looked good.
Yeah. that offense is just, it can pick you apart in so many different ways.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying about him at the beginning of the season. They have so many weapons where it looked like maybe Hunt was going to be hurt by the fact that Mahomes was doing so well with the receivers. They had no need for the running game. But again, now that people are kind of getting maybe a little film on Mahomes, or they're maybe just kind of figuring him out, maybe seeing Andy Reid's new playbook, kind of figuring some things out. But now they can go back to the ground game and rely on
Right.
on Hunt. I wasn't expecting Hunt to have that big of a game. If you remember, 2 weeks ago he was my start of the week. This week I was a little more cautious with him because of going up against the Jags, but still had a decent day. He had 87 rushing yards and a touchdown. So you'll take that any day of the week. So and I think he's going to continue to do well going forward. Kelsey continues to show that he's a top tight end. I believe after this week he may be tight end number one. He should likely overtake Cook as the number one option. Ertz had a great game as well, who we'll talk about here in a minute. So we'll have to look at those numbers after they're compiled. But yeah, Kelsey definitely is showing that he does not belong on the ADP zero list, regardless of the quarterback.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, as a Hunt owner, do you have any concern moving forward with his usage in the passing game, or are you confident in the fact that he just got 22 carries against the Jaguars and that his volume will be enough in the rushing game?
Yeah, anyway he's getting, as long as he's getting to high teens, low 20s or whatever, I'm fine with him, even though he's not quite being used in the passing game as he was last year. Alex Smith is just a different kind of a quarterback. He does check down a lot more. Mahomes seems to push the ball down the field a lot more than Alex Smith did. And Tyreek Hill has had his breakout thus far this season, so I'm not so worried about them saying not needing Hunt in the passing game as much. Even though it would be nice, though. I mean, you want to keep defenses honest. You don't want to become a situation where they see this guy in the backfield and they know what's coming. You want to be able to get him involved when you can. But I think, yeah, he's just fine getting anywhere from 18 to 20 touches a game. You're gonna like what you get out of Kareem Hunt. So, yeah, he's having a fine year, and I'll be comfortable rolling forward with him. News out of Jacksonville is ASJ is on IR. I don't know if he was having that good of a season anyhow, but how does that affect the Jags? Are you expecting who's the beneficiary here?
As a pass catch, with Blake Bortles back there, as far as receivers go, I don't really know.
It's hard to call.
Yeah, I don't really know if any receiver just benefits for this game. It looked like T.J. Yeldon benefited the most with 10 targets.
Yeldon's having a fine season with Fournette nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and I also think with Corey Grant I know he's not a big or he wasn't a big fantasy name, but that was their stat back, and with him now he also got placed on IR. So with him now being out, right now it's just T.J. Yeldon doing everything.
Yeah, the Jags want to call up DeMarco Murray or something here in a minute, man.
Something. Go ahead, hey Dez, can you play running
back?
Right?
Do you run?
That would be his job. Yeah, man. With OSJ being out, I think that was a target though for Blake. I did notice when I watched him play, he did look at him in the end zone.
Yeah.
So they will have to go elsewhere. Now, whether that opens it up for Yeldon or that opens it up for maybe your Dante Moncrief, your big receivers in the end zone, we'll see. But yeah.
I wasn't impressed too much with Jags though this week. Blake kind of went back to old Blake. Had a number of interceptions. I was really high on Keelan Cole after Marquise Lee went down, and he's disappointed for the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I want anybody on the Jags offense besides T.J. Yeldon right now. And even when Fournette comes back, I still think that I'm playing it cautious with him with his hamstring. So Yeldon's the guy to own, and I don't know who they're going to bring up behind him here. They're going to have to get another running back. possibly bring somebody off of the practice squad, or maybe go out there and get a guy like I don't know, Orleans Darkwa or something.
Bring somebody in. And just real quick, the Chiefs defense, just for fantasy owners, they still are terrible. I know if you look at the score, it's like, Jacksonville scored 14 points. That's true, but Blake Bortles threw for 430 yards.
He did. It was garbage time yards, but yeah, he did.
Yeah, but so I just don't want people to start, maybe I get Chiefs DST or whatever.
Don't do it.
That's still Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's about it for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jags. Keep rolling your cheese, people. They're having an amazing season. Let's talk about the Rams and the Seahawks. This actually turned out to be a game.
Surprising, and I guess that's what you can expect when division rivals go against each other. They're gonna just play and do what they have to. My must sit was Russell Wilson, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm still not overly, impressed with Russell this point. But Russell did this one time before. He's historically started pretty slow and picks it up as the season goes on. I actually looked this up on FantasyPros.com. In 2000, he's right now QB 20. Right now, QB 20. In 2016, so 2 years ago, for the first 5 games, he was QB 18. He ended up that year QB 11. So he comes on at the end of the season. Not that you want a QB 11 out of him because you drafted him likely the first 6, 7-ish rounds.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I expect there to be better days ahead for Wilson, especially since he gets to play San Francisco. We'll talk about my sucky team later on. But, yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with Wilson in this particular game, but he just has no help. The offense looks like it's just sputtering. Offensive line is not that great. He's always running around, can't get any protection. The wide receivers, I guess they're coming along here. I don't know how to call it. I'm not sure if Russell is a starter or a sit for me right now.
Yeah. Russell is in that weird spot because a lot of the reason that you drafted Russell early on is I'm gonna get the rushing yards as well, and he's not really doing that either.
He's too busy running for his life behind the line of scrimmage to make it.
Yeah. If he didn't have to run past the line of scrimmage, if anywhere he ran, if we got those points, he'd be number 1 right now.
Running for his life back there, man. But the running game for Seattle, man, this is another one. I did more than bench him. I dropped him, and for good reason. Chris Carson, I dropped him week 2, a week too soon for Gio Bernard, and Gio helped me win a couple of games. So don't get me wrong. I mean, I really did need the help there, but I had no inclination that Carson was going to have a breakout, and he looks like he may be a monster for the rest of the year, and it sucks for me.
Yeah. Carson looked good, but I mean, in no way do I fault you on that decision to drop him for Gio. Because I mean, anybody in their right mind is making that decision. Just so happened that Carson balled out. Mike Davis still looked good. He was able to be the one that got into the end zone. But Rashad Penny didn't get any touches. He was phased out. Yeah. So
what is going on there? I mean, how do you draft him number 1? I mean, your first round draft pick. How is he not getting? I don't know. I guess Chubb's in kind of the same situation. No, Chubb wasn't drafted first round, was he? No.
No. They took Baker. Yeah.
So then he's a number 1 draft pick. How is he not getting the run? He's surely better than Mike Davis.
I mean, he's got to be. If he wasn't, why did you take a running back that early? So yeah, and especially with Pete Carroll talking him up like he was, like we said in episodes before, it's hard to trust a Pete Carroll backfield. It's hard to trust a Pete Carroll comment. It's just hard to trust what Pete Carroll's going to say to you with the Seahawks.
I think Carroll was at the beginning of the year just pressured into playing Penny until he showed that, hey, Carson's a little bit better. Because Carroll I will say, was talking Carson up on the off season. He was saying that he's our best running back right now, and you thought that just eventually, besides the pressure and Penny's supposed to be, talented, that would win out. But no, it went completely the other way. And like I said before, I sat him, so you should start him. I really missing out here on Chris Carson. I wish I had him in my lineup. On the other side of the ball, Rams look great. Gurley's doing what he always does, scores touchdowns. I'm really happy I have him on one of my teams. There were some people, again, I think I mentioned this before, who said at the beginning of the year, very, very likely that a guy is going to repeat as fantasy rushing champ, and he's just scoring touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. As a matter of fact, he probably could have had another one. I think they called him down right at the 1 yard line or something. I'm not sure. I don't think he got that touchdown.
Yeah. No, Gurley's in the perfect offense for it. He's got all these deep field weapons that can get them right to the cusp of scoring, and then just turn around and be like, "Hey, Gurley,
want this 1 yard touchdown real quick?"
Yeah. So, and like you said, the Rams still looked great, even with the 2 first-half injuries of Cooper and Brandon Cooks, which is going to be something to monitor. I think they both went with concussions, so that was a pretty hard hit. But yeah, with Gurley back there, you can still virtually do about anything.
Yeah. This offense is just ridiculous.
Forward,
how do you support 3 wide receivers? Now, I don't think maybe besides Aaron Rodgers. How does that happen? I don't think I've seen an offense that typically that can support 3 receivers. But Kupp is having a great year. He was another guy that I kind of avoided in the draft because I did have him the year before, and he was super inconsistent. Had a lot of drops and everything else, and I was like, you know what, I'm just not doing this again with him. And now with Brandon Cooks being there, I figured he would. But everybody's eating. Everybody's having a great year. I don't think I've seen before an offense that supported 3 different wide receivers. But Kupp should be in your lineup if he's there. If he's not, then we had Reynolds. We're talking about him on a waiver wire, but Reynolds stepped up. He may be someone to keep on your radar as well.
Definitely, yeah. Cooper is definitely a must-start.
Absolutely. Good deal. Cool beans. Let's go ahead and preview this Thursday night game. And this just in, obviously it's the Eagles and the Giants coming up here. But looks like we lost Ajayi for the year. They said that he had a torn ACL. That's horrible. I didn't know that actually happened during the game. And the Eagles just put out a comment here. They have no intention of pursuing Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and it looks like the next man up is, you would think it's Corey Clement.
Smallwood.
The way Wendell
Smallwood. He looks good every time he gets when they give him the touches. He's always looked good. This is not a new thing, folks. He's been around for a couple of years, and every time they give him the touches, he produces. Why won't they give this man the ball? This is your account. I'm asking you.
I wondered the same thing. I liked him last year. I noticed him a lot last year, and I liked him a bunch last year. I still liked him over Corey Clement this year. The only reason I wasn't saying anything about him is because the Eagles weren't giving them the ball. So, and unfortunately, I think if Corey Clement comes back and is healthy, that Corey Clement would not take it over, but he'll go back to committee. But right now, Wendell Smallwood is the only healthy guy in the backfield, so that's definitely a guy to look for if you're in need of a running back. With Jay Ajayi being on.
What is Clement's status at this point in time? What is going on with him? Do you expect him back this week?
I haven't seen the big news for the Eagles today was the Jay Ajayi situation, so I will be able to see more news on Clement and Darren Sproles most likely tomorrow.
Okay.
Especially with the short week. But I do know, as far as last week, that neither Corey Clement nor Darren Sproles, neither one of them even practiced last week. So that is not a good sign as far as playing on Thursday with a short week.
Right. Yeah,
Right. So
I think Smallwood's going to be a great play possibly this week. I think that Clement's probably a little bit closer to being back than Darren Sproles.
Definitely.
Again, he's older. Sometimes those injuries take a little bit of time to heal themselves when you're older. And yeah, Smallwood should be a great play. I have him on one of my teams, and if Clement is out and Sproles is out, I'm actually going to play him this week. Now he may also, though, would he be a sell high candidate for you if you had him on one of your squads, or are you going to ride him out all year long with these seemingly lingering injuries for the other people in the backfield?
If Smallwood can play well for me for these Giants, and I'm able to flip him quickly, I'm definitely doing it. The Eagles' next 2 games, they have the Panthers, and I believe it's another tough game. They've got the Panthers and the Jaguars.
Okay.
Are the next 2 games coming up before a bye. So if I can get Smallwood off the waivers, he has a great game, and flip him for, a wide receiver, 2-3 range, flex range, or a good running back, a necessity for my team, I'm flipping him. I don't think the Eagles are going to stick with Smallwood very long. And he's in a gauntlet to be the guy that everybody points fingers at when he doesn't produce against these great defenses, and they're like, see, this is why we have Clement starting in the first place. So, that would be a sell high candidate for me.
Well, how much fab would you spend on? Let's say you got $100 of fab. How much fab are you spending on Smallwood this week?
If I needed Smallwood, I'm definitely in the 25, 30 range.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not breaking the bank for him, but if I had the opportunity to get the number 1 running back on a good offensive team going against an okay defensive team in the Giants, I gotta spend at least 30%.
Yeah, I would go after him pretty hard as well. I might even go a little bit higher than that on the thought that possibly Clement. I mean, even if Clement comes back, if Sproles stays out for any considerable amount of time past this week, I think Smallwood has shown that he has the catching acumen here the pass catching acumen to be good here. So I'd pick him up thinking that he could possibly be a flex for quite some time. And then, I would just monitor the Sproles news more than the Clement, because I think we know Clement's going to come back and be a part of the offense. But monitor the Sproles news. And if Sproles starts practicing limited fashion or whatever, possibly flip Smallwood into something else. But I really wish they would give him a shot, man, and give him the ball.
Yeah.
I think he's really,
me too.
Good, underrated. Absolutely. And on the other side of the ball, we haven't even talked about the Giants yet. Barkley had a little bit of a scare, man. Jumped into the end zone, got a touchdown, and came up limping. Everybody in New York died. Heart attack instantaneously.
Yeah, that would have been definitely for the Giants. I'm sure they told him, hey man, maybe we walk into the end zone
right
now.
Next time. Maybe just go out on the 1 yard line. Let's live to fight another day. No more jumping for you.
Yeah. I actually have a crazy stat I saw today when we said we were going to talk about this game. I looked it up. Odell he hasn't been necessarily underwhelming so far this season, but he hasn't really lived up to what everybody was expecting from him. So, and I know
he has the Julio syndrome.
Yeah.
No touchdowns.
The touchdowns. They're not there for whatever reason, and he's a guy that you got to start. So to give the Odell Beckham Jr. owners a little hope, in the last 5 games that the Giants and Eagles have played, not counting the most recent game because Odell didn't play in that one last year, but the 5 games before that, Odell has had 390 yards, 36 receptions, and 5 touchdowns. And that averages out to 7 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown per game.
Yeah.
So he has historically done fantastic against the Eagles defense. I would put him in there and expect a touchdown in a big game.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's going in. You're starting him. You're starting Barkley. Even the Shepherd twins had a decent game together. But Alshon Jeffrey, the guy that I just can't stand, he just killed you last week. Come off that huge game that you had the week before, and just nothing the week after. I've never quite been on the Alshon Jeffrey train. What do you expect out of him in this game here?
I need a healthy Alshon. He comes back the first game or this 2 games ago and does well. Then he pops up on the practice or on the injury list with a chest injury. Mm-hmm. I don't know how big that was in this Vikings game, but as long as injuries are following Alshon, which they've done since he was in Chicago, as they continue to do that, he's going to be one of your touchdown or nothing type players.
Yeah. He's a candidate for me for sit of the week. And last week, my sit of the week was Devin Funchess going up against the Giants. And this season, as I said before, the Giants have done fairly well against the opposing team's number 1 receiver. I mean, when you keep Michael Thomas, the Michael Thomas from the Saints, not the Rams, the 6 fantasy points. We have a funny story. We should tell that story early at some point in time. But anyhow, that it was an ordeal in one of our leagues, folks, where someone actually got over selling Mike Thomas from the Rams and got a good return for him in the trade. We'll talk about it some other time. But when they keep Michael Thomas to 6 fantasy points on the week, you're pretty good. And they kept Devin Funchess under wraps for the most of the game. I think he may have had 4 catches for like 40 yards. I mean, it's not a horrible game, but to me, Alshon Jeffrey seems like that kind of a player, big body guy, not going to burn you down the field kind of a fella, more of a possession receiver, and I think they're going to shut him down. I'll be surprised if he has a game, so he'll be on my bench.
Yeah, no, I agree. Janoris Jenkins is definitely gonna shadow him, and that's gonna be a matchup, that's gonna come down to we're at the 10-yard line. Let's throw it up to Alshon. Right. We need a quick first down, but it's not gonna be. You're not gonna get the big yardage or anything crazy like that from Alshon this game.
Absolutely, good deal, cool beans. Let's go ahead and move on to one of my favorite segments. The old blame game. Again, we're going to talk about people who have been underwhelming to this point in the season or underwhelming for the last couple of games. Who and what is to blame? Let's do 3 apiece. You go ahead and start off.
Sure, and I would try to get a third one. I was trying to think of a 3, and I came up with 2, but I'll have a third one before it's over. My first one is Derrick Henry.
Okay.
It's just super. He's continued to be underwhelming, and it's not looking like he's getting any better. And I actually blame Dion Lewis for being better. I blame Dion for coming in and showing the Titans
and just being a better player, just being a better running back.
Yeah. He's just a better running back. He's using the passing game. He's getting more touches. And I blame the Titans organization I blame the Titans organization for not being Adam Gase and realizing that their best player needs the ball. That's my comparison. So yeah, Derrick Henry's been super underwhelming and just awful for fantasy owners.
He hasn't been that great. I actually picked him up. He was dropped in the waiver wire in that same league where I dropped Chris Carson because Gio is basically done now. I had to pick someone up, and he was on the waiver, so I gave him a shot. See, maybe the second half of the season can be a little bit better for him. But yeah, he certainly hasn't given. I mean, in my opinion, you probably drafted Derrick Henry and Kenyon Drake probably within 10 spots of each other, maybe even a little bit closer. Absolutely. And he's been even worse than Drake now. And considering Drake has given you 3 points in the game and 2.8 points, but at least one game Drake gave you 17 points, and then last week he gave you 24. So
Drake can catch the ball.
Yeah. And I mean, you had to know that Henry wasn't going to be the pass catching back, but you just figure that he would have done better. But the thing is, though, even the last couple of games, Dion Lewis hasn't looked all that awesome.
No, he hasn't. He has not looked fantastic. But I attribute that to the Titans offense trying to find themselves.
Okay.
and Marcus Mariota, and depending on which Marcus Mariota you're going to get
right
game by game. But yeah, you're right. Dion Lewis hasn't looked tremendous either. He just looks better than Derrick Henry, which isn't that difficult to do these days.
Absolutely. All right, my first guy here is Chris Hogan, and if you listen to all of our shows, I've spoken about him before. It was set up for Chris Hogan, man, to have a ginormous year. I mean, at least just starting out, you would think he would have been a top 10 receiver, and it just hasn't happened for him. I pulled some stats, went back last year. This is with a full complement, I do believe. If I'm not mistaken, Edelman started out the year. No, maybe Edelman was out for a little bit because of injury. But neither here nor there. Hogan, do you know? Take a guess. Where was Hogan through the first 5 weeks of last year?
Where was he?
Yeah,
ranked.
Ranked. Yeah. Give me an educated guess here.
The first 5. I don't. I would take the over on 20. He wasn't in the top 20.
He was wide receiver 5 PPR.
Wow.
He has the
I had
talent.
no idea.
Yeah, he has. Now he got hurt. I believe week 7 or 8, something like that. And of course, it derailed his year. But he has the talent to be a top 20 wide receiver. Edelman was out. Gronk was hurt a couple of games. They shipped out Cooks. I have no clue what's going on here with Hogan, and I just have to blame him. He's not on the same page with Brady. Brady is not throwing him the ball. Take him out to dinner or something. I don't know. Buy him some new cleats. You got to get Brady on your team. Now Hogan got a few extra targets last game, and he actually didn't catch one. He didn't drop it either. He didn't catch it, and it ended up being an interception for the opposing team. But you got to get Brady's trust back, and whatever you have to do, man, work out extra with him, take him out to dinner. But you got to get back in his good graces, because now that you have Gronk back on the field, now that you have Edelman on the field, now that Patterson is showing he's at least competent. You got Gordon there now. Some targets should open up. Now, of course, you have to spread the ball around to these other receivers now. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to get a ton of targets, but you shouldn't be getting double teamed. You should be able to beat your man. I'm not sure if there's something going on there, but I blame Hogan for not just being better.
Yeah. I did notice kind of coming on at the end that Hogan was able to find himself in the end zone just out of nowhere a lot last year. So, hopefully with Edelman being back and hopefully Josh Gordon hasn't kind of taken the Hogan role. Since they don't necessarily have that speedster with Brandon Cooks. Of course, like you said, Cordero Patterson is kind of coming into his own. I'm just hoping that Gordon isn't going to be the guy now that's taking the Chris Hogan.
You also got Dorsett. Dorsett seems to get a fair amount. I'm not sure who's gonna do what here. I think you still got your Gronk as he's cemented in his role. I think Edelman's still going to get his 7 or 8, targets per game. That's kind of going to be what it is. James White's having an amazing season out of the backfield.
Absolutely.
Michelle's coming on, so there may not be the targets there for him. I don't know if this is going to be a case of too many mouths to feed, but at the beginning of the season, it just wasn't. He should be further along. That's okay, though. Yeah. Take him out to dinner. Let's see what we can do, Hogan. Good graces here. All right, man, who's your number 2 guy?
Yeah. Julio Jones.
Yeah.
We've talked about him multiple times, so there's no need for me to get too in deep. I blame the offensive coordinator. I blame Matt Ryan. They just can't find him in the red zone. The yards are there, touchdowns aren't.
Yeah, the dude is he's 6'3", 6'4". I mean, he should be able to catch a couple of 50-50 contested balls, and for him not to have any touchdowns through the first 5 weeks of the season, it's a shame. More than a shame.
I heard something today that Julio has 3 red zone targets on the season, and all three of those came against the Eagles the first game of the season.
Wow, insane.
Yeah,
you got to get him going.
You can't have that.
Nope. All right, man. I got Royce Freeman as my number two
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And he's given you a couple of okay flex-worthy weeks, but he came on really at the end of the draft season as a guy that you were picking up as a high-end RB2. It seemed like before the season started, it was between him and Devontae Booker, and I'll be honest, I was a I don't want to say truther, but I thought Booker was going to hold the starting gig for a few weeks, give himself a shot. I thought Vance Joseph would have given him, as the veteran running back, a shot to carry the load, but Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay passed him on the depth chart before the season started, and I guess I don't know. I guess I'm blaming Royce Freeman and Devontae Booker because Booker's still getting passing down work. He caught 5 balls for, I think, 60 yards last game. That gives you 11 points fantasy, PPR. But this is a 3-headed monster. Everybody's getting a chance, and Royce, as talented as he is, isn't getting the touches he needs to warrant a 4th or 5th round draft choice.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard to figure out what back Royce is. You got, it seems like Phillip is going to be their speedster, their pass catching back who can also run and take off. And then Devontae Booker is their, okay, this is our quote unquote veteran who knows our offense. So we're going to use him in our hurry up. We're going to use him in our, our game time situations. And then you just kind of flip a coin when they decide, let's do Royce this time, I guess. So it's kind of hard to solidify what Royce's role actually is in that committee backfield.
Absolutely. Good deal. Did you come up with a third guy, or do I just go ahead and keep rolling?
Yeah. I think my third guy's going to be really obvious, but Amari Cooper.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told you, if you listen to my ADP 0, I told you not to draft that guy.
Yeah, he definitely should have. We actually, funny thing is, real quick, in that same league we were just talking about with the Mike Thomas trade, we also had a guy in there that took Amari Cooper, I want to say 2nd round, took him real early in our draft.
No, you're remembering correctly. It wasn't 2nd round, though. It was 3rd round. And he moved up, because I know who you're talking about here.
Yeah.
He moved up to draft Amari Cooper, and he was trying to get my spot because I was drafting right after him. Well, I was drafting before him, before he moved up. I was like, oh, you're trying to get my guy. You're trying to get my guy because he wanted my pick. I said, well, yeah, I want who I want. He says, who do you want? I said, I'm not telling you who I want. I was going after Adam Thielen. He moved up, drafted Cooper. One spot before me, I picked Adam Thielen, the spot after him, and I know he has to be sick. The number one, Thielen may be after this week, possibly number 1 receiver in fantasy right now. He is absolutely just killing it, and you have the opportunity to get him, and you picked Amari Cooper.
Who's not even the number 1 receiver
on his team. Old man Jordy Nelson has passed him up, man, on his team.
Oh, my God.
And Jordy's like a sloth. Yeah. He's slow.
Yeah. So,
man.
That's my underwhelming. And who to blame? I blame fantasy owners for hyping them up too much.
Wow.
I don't really know if I don't really know if I blame. I don't really know who to blame there. Cooper's not good.
Cooper.
He doesn't look good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the pooper. Yeah. I understand. Well, no, I'm not gonna. I like Cooper. Man, coming out of Alabama. I have a certain affinity for him, but he's just not been anywhere near consistent. He had a couple of good years. First year in the league, second year in the league, he was pretty decent. The switch went off. I don't know what it is. It could also be Derek Carr. He was one of our starts of the week last week. Had an okay game, not really great. He at one point like he was going to ascend to the top of the quarterback ranks, and he hasn't quite lived up either. So perhaps it's his fault for not targeting Cooper a little bit more. Maybe he doesn't trust Cooper. Maybe the drops. I don't know what it is there, but yeah, certainly Cooper. You can't get passed up on your own team. by Jordy Nelson. You know who did look good outside of a fumble in the middle of the field, man? Someone who I said, and I fought for this, and it hasn't come to fruition just yet, but I always thought that Martavius Bryant was the most talented receiver on the team over Cooper. Before the season started,
Yeah.
I said he had a chance to take this wide receiving core over if he gets his head into the playbook, gets his head in the game, gets out of his behind, and starts playing up to his potential. He is a monster receiver. He finally had a usable game. I think 92 yards on 4 catches, and that's after a fumble in the middle of the field. So I don't know if he's coming on or not. He is someone I should probably talk about in waivers. Let's save that.
yeah. He's there, definitely. And I actually remember you talking about that because, like we said, we drafted pretty early.
Super early.
And I remember you, and when we drafted, the suspension thing was still a big ordeal. And I actually think that they had released Martavis at one point when we were talking about it. So, but I definitely remember you saying that and lobbying for him. And it looks like it might be on the way to you being right.
Yeah, if they give him the targets and Derek Carr starts to trust him, he's explosive. We know he's explosive. Always been that way. All right, my third guy, we're going to get ready to get out of here, do a quick waiver, and get out of here for you guys. Alex Collins, talked about him up and down, left and right. Mixon is making me sick about this. I had a choice between Collins and Mixon, and I just didn't like what I was seeing out of the preseason in Mixon, so I went Collins, thinking that he can reproduce what he did last year. Had a great game last game, but I blame him. I blame him himself, Collins. Just the fumbles. I think they're scared to give him the lead dog workload to say, hey, we're going to keep handing you the ball, because I think they're scared that he's going to fumble. I am of the contention, though, that he is hands down the best running back on the team, much better than Javarius Allen, especially between the tackles. Outside of John Brown, he may be the best offensive player they have. I just think they're scared of his fumbles. But after this loss here, I don't know. I think you just have to maybe change it up, maybe give this guy a shot, maybe give him 17, 18 touches a game like you were doing last year, because they rode him. And he actually helped a lot of fantasy owners win some games last year. He has the talent, man. When he has the ball in his hands, and I do mean that literally, like in his hands, not fumbling, he breaks tackles. He's a tough, hard runner. He's fast. I gave you some stats a couple of episodes ago where he was like 5th in the league yards after contact. He was, 3rd or 4th in the league against stacked boxes. He's a great runner, man. It's just he has to get the fumbling under control.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as I still love Buck Allen. I loved him at the beginning of the year, and I still love him. But I agree. I think it's just the fumbles because Alex Collins, when I'm watching him, especially after you gave me the stats, I was like, let me
check him out.
Let me come up with something. Yeah, let me come up with another reason why I don't like him. He runs hard.
Yes,
he wants to be in the game. He wants to win. He's fighting for every yard.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. Yeah.
And sometimes that's the problem. He's fighting for every yard, and right before he goes down and gets stripped, it's hard to tell. Change a horse's color. That's what he does, and that's part of what makes him special as a runner. But I don't know. I don't know how he regulates that for himself. But I do hope they start to go to him a little bit more, because it's going to give them a more balanced offense than giving him just 10 touches. And everyone knows they're throwing the ball up to John Brown 14 times a game like he did last game. But anyhow, good deal, man. That's the blame game. We're going to go ahead and move along. We're over an hour, which we were trying not to do. Seems like we can't stop talking here. Let's talk about a quick waiver wire segment. I got 3 guys that I'll run through, and we'll be done. Who's your first guy?
Yeah, I got 2 quick guys, so I'll just fly through my 2 quick guys real quick. Alfred Morris and Frank Gore.
Okay.
I think it goes without being said that Alfred Morris is definitely somebody to take a look at. He had a great game last game, 18 carries for 61 yards, 3 receptions for 30. I think Matt Breida did get hurt and taken out for a little bit. I think he's going to be fine. You'll know more about that being the 49ers guy.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the ankle injury wasn't as bad as initially thought. Breida dodged 2 bad injuries. He had a knee deal the game before where you just look at buckled, and a lot of times when it looks like that, that's typically some kind of an ACL or MCL. He dodged that one, and this time he had an ankle injury, looked really bad, the way he was, in pain on the ground, and he almost could have came back in that game. So I'm thinking they're going to give him a couple of days of rest. We'll watch his practice reps this week and see what happens. But, yeah, for 1 week, Alfred Morris may be a good pickup. But, last week, Breida was one of my starts of the week, and he was on his way to a monster game. Went out in the second quarter. I think he had 8 touches, 56 yards rushing, maybe 20 yards receiving, something like that, and a touchdown. He was getting ready to explode, and if you started him, you'll still, even just through the first couple of quarters, you still got yourself about 14 fantasy points or so.
Absolutely. Both of these waiver wire pickups for me are guys that I think if you own Drake or if you own Breida, I would feel more comfortable getting these guys if I own the other guy. I don't really like the standalone value that much, but just some guys to look at. Definitely.
Absolutely. My first guy is probably goes without saying, probably owned in your league, but if not, go ahead and pick up Baker Mayfield. I think he's just going to continue to get better and better throughout the season. Yeah. He's not putting up gigantic touchdowns numbers just yet, but over 300 yards passing for the young man this past week. The offense is a different offense with him, and I think they're going to continue to lean on him more throughout the season. So if you're in a dynasty league, if he's not already on, which he probably should be, go ahead and jump on him. 2-quarterback league, you want him. And if you have, I don't know, if you were drafting late quarterbacks and you ended up with Blake Bortles, you may want to go ahead and pick this guy up. He's certainly the best of the rookies. On the same team, Higgins. I think he's taken over as the number 2 receiver. We kind of thought that would be Callaway, but Callaway has not panned out as of yet. Rashard Higgins seems like he may be actually pretty valuable this year as possibly a flex option. I would keep him on my radar. My last guy here is Reynolds. Well, not my last guy, because I want to mention Martavis Bryant. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk. Bryant, I want you to go ahead and pick Bryant up. If there is a trust issue between Amari Cooper and Derek Carr, or if Cooper is just not good enough anymore to get off to overcome the opposing team's top defensive back, then you may see a lot more of Martavis Bryant because he is far and away the most talented receiver for the Oakland Raiders. The last guy I want to mention is Reynolds for the Rams. There was an injury, as Dave mentioned earlier in the podcast, to both Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks. If those last for a week or two, as sometimes concussions can, Reynolds came in and looked more than capable.
Yeah. No, yeah, Reynolds looked good. And just really quickly, I actually have Rashard Higgins. I picked him up before last week on a couple of my teams. But just something to look at when you're out there on the waiver. Higgins they're expecting him to be out for at least 2 weeks with a sprained MCL.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, so that might be a guy that if you want to get him and stash him, go ahead. But might be a guy you just kind of keep your eye on.
I didn't get a chance to check out that game. I hadn't heard that news. Well, maybe things have swung back in the Antonio Callaway direction. But it looks like one of the beneficiaries there, though, was Njoku. He got a lot of targets and receptions last game, so we'll see. All right, well, that's the show for the night, folks. I want to once again thank you guys for coming in and visiting with us and listening to the show. Once again, please don't forget the answer to the question. We are having that giveaway. Trust me, you will love those chips. Go ahead and leave your comments here down in the comment section and answer that question. As always, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Dave, do you have anything else for the people?
Hey, you guys enjoy your week and enjoy your football.
Absolutely. We're signing off. Have a good night.